What is going on, everybody? Kamusta kayo lahat mula sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, or wherever the heck you are on the planet? This is your one and only JOAT, the place to be for any niche, every genre, and all generations. I am your master of ceremony, D to the E to the LRO, aka JDR, aka Joy's biggest simp, aka the extraordinary introvert. So yeah, guys, look what I got. Yup, it's finally here. It's
Wow!
finally in the
Wow.
mail. Oh man.
Wow!
Yup, my first ever K-pop boodle, and it had to come with Park Soo-young's signature. We can end the episode now. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, obviously, guys, I am still high from that fan sign, which turned into that episode last week. So to all those who tuned in at Facebook and Instagram, thank you so much. I apologize kung di ko nalabas sa Spotify or YouTube because baka maban ako by, their managers and stuff. So we just had to keep it on FB and IG. But hopefully y'all were able to enjoy me being a cringe ass K-pop stan and just an overall joy simp. So enough about that. I promise you guys sa mga susunod na episode I won't be as high anymore, but since I'm still trying to recover from the best 3 minutes of my life, it's only fitting that we talk about stan culture, whether it be Asian standing or Hollywood standing, Western standing. We'll be having it all for you guys here. So let's get started. So to my left over here we have a diehard swiftie. So yes, if you think I'm the biggest Red Velvet stan, like talong-talo ka dito, because I'm sure this guest over here has been standing Taylor Swift for the longest time now. So guys, let's give it up for Miss Vannah Cruz, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
And to my bottom, if you think I'm a K-pop stan, this guy is way more hardcore than me, and he doesn't just stan K content, but he stands Asian content in general. So it's whether it's Japanese culture, Thai culture, Vietnamese, Chinese culture, of course Filipino culture. You can even go all the way to Vietnam culture, Indonesian culture, Malaysian culture. Basically, this guy's palette is full, and sila talaga yung bubuhat sa episode na ito. I'm just gonna continue simping over John. I'm just kidding. But this guy's a familiar guest. You've seen him before, and he's gonna make his second appearance on the show. Let's welcome back Mr. Dave Go, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so after 30-ish minutes of technical difficulties and lag, we're finally here. We're in one place, and let's pray to the internet gods it stays that way. So, guys, kayo naman, paki-introduce naman yung mga sarili ninyo. So, paano to? Ladies first, or Dave, you wanna go first?
Well, kahit na sinasabi nila na gender equality and all, pero since first time naman si Vannah, baka siya na lang yung mag-introduce sa sarili.
Yeah.
So she's gonna be the one to introduce herself.
Okay, I'm so sorry, first of all, kasi it was due sa technical difficulties, but hi, I'm Vannah Cruz. So as Jake mentioned, I've been a swiftie now for a very long time.
Yes.
I started becoming a Taylor Swift fan or like swiftie when I was 14 years old. So I'm 24, 25. So almost
A decade.
I think almost a decade or like more than a decade. But yeah, I only started calling myself a swiftie no 14, pero like no 13 or 12 years old, I'm a casual listener na. Siguro like mas naging obsessed na ako when I was like 14. So that was the time I went to her concert here in Manila. It was her first concert.
Swerte.
And yeah, and then I know, like, I saw her, like, jumping around some backstage, and then I fell in love with her more. So, like, ever since, like, oh my god, I've been obsessed now with her and her music, and I think her philosophy then in life.
Right,
That's why.
right. Yeah, don't worry, Van. I'm gonna give you a lot of time to expose your standing over T Swift. You're gonna have a lot of time for that. So thank you, Miss Vanna, for introducing yourself and, most importantly, the artist that you stand the most. So Dave, your turn. If you're a multilingual expert, I'm sure you're a multi-stan. So go ahead, expose yourself. I guess give them a reintroduction about you, but more importantly, like, give me some of those groups and other acts that you really, really love.
Right, so I'm gonna make this funny because you've seen how they do it, but 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷. 안녕하세요, Dave입니다. So yes, I am interested in like these different cultures, languages, and these different fandoms as well. Like, I love consuming media from different places, and yes, for instance, like, I can brag that I was one of these older generation K-pop fans. Like, I was a fan since 2009. My first, the first artist I stan was Boa.
Oh,
Like, back then,
nice.
like, are super into like J-pop.
Yeah.
But eventually, as I found out about Boa and her Korean songs, I got into like K-pop as well, but mostly Boa songs. Eventually, when the Philippines started experiencing like this big K-pop craze, I started standing like so many different groups. Like, I started buying like so many of these CDs and posters. Like, I was a super big fan.
Nice. Yo, that's a great start, man. Like, if you can't call yourself a K-pop stan if you don't stan the Boa. So, I'm sorry, Vanna, if you don't know who she is, but yeah, only K-pop stans will understand.
I heard of them.
Yeah. What's your favorite Boa song though? Like, there's a lot of bangers, but which one like stands out to you?
All right, so I guess it would be like this one classic. Like, it was the first Boa song I listened to. Like, I heard the song in both Japanese and Korean. Like, what was the song again? So this is great. Okay, like, I'm starting to get some mental block. Like, what kind of a fan am I?
No, it's fine. She has a lot, so it's gonna be hard to single out.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I could say, like, for instance, my recent favorites would be like Hurricane Venus. I loved number one, Atlantis Princess. Amazing clip. And then she also had like Girls on Top. I liked it because it had this feminist theme in it, like, especially with like how, for instance, you need to give a voice to like a lot of women and stuff like that. So yeah, I have a lot of favorite Boa songs.
Yeah. Mine just Milky Way. I mean, I love that song so much.
Yep. So yes. And anyway, speaking of which, so now as a K-pop stan, and so what parts of Korean culture have you gotten into? Because, as they say, aside from like consuming K-pop and K-dramas, a lot of these fans of Korean pop media, they start getting into like other aspects. Like, for instance, they want to learn the language, they want to eat more of like the dishes, like they've seen their idols eat a lot of these dishes. So what other stuff about Korea or Korean culture are you interested in? Like, that's like one of the things researchers have noticed when it comes to like K-pop stands or like drama stands.
Yeah. Wow. As if you're the host, no? But is that towards the both of us? Like, you're asking us what Korean or what aspects of K culture like we like?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Would you like to go first, Vannah?
So, Dave will go first. I think I'm more interested in hearing his inputs about
Oh, me?
Korean.
Okay.
No, Dave.
Oh, Dave. Okay.
All right. If you guys want me to start first. So, for
Sure,
instance,
sure.
after I was super into like Korean culture, like even before that, I was interested in like Korean food and like, I was being the person, I was the person that was always interested in like different cultures and stuff like that. But as soon as I got more into K culture,
Mhm.
I started wanting to learn more Korean, for instance, the language. Like,
Oh.
I wanted to not just go beyond, for instance, listening to the melody or looking at the subtitles in like these drama series. So I decided like maybe I wanted to learn more Korean. So like in case I'd meet my K-pop idols or like K-drama stars in real life, I'd be speaking to them in their language and we'd be communicating with them well.
Mm.
So I started like learning Hangul. That was my first step.
Mhm.
So Hangul, if you guys don't know, that's the writing system of Korean, and thank God that it's the easiest alphabet. So I was able to learn it in, I think, a few hours or so. And
Oh.
yeah, like, no, I'm not, don't think of it as being super hard. It's like
Mm.
a lot of my friends have learned it in like an hour or so, or 2 hours, or a few hours.
Oh.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. And if you guys are interested in learning Korean and the grammar, you could go to Talk to Me in Korean. I'm not their endorser or something like that, but they've been helpful for me,
All right.
like learning the language stuff.
All right, there you go. That's a reference. So to my listeners also, if y'all want to learn some Korean ASAP, or if you want to learn the easy way, there you go. Talk to Me in Korean. Yes, definitely check that out. I guess for me naman, so besides the food, because lately we've been having Korean beef stew, we've been having Korean style chicken wings. Of course, there's the kimchi. Can't go wrong with that. Then there's the occasional samyup. Can't go wrong with that either. I think for me, it's more of the K R&B scene. So you know me, right? Like, I'm into my rap game a lot. And grabe, ang gagaling nila. Like, when you hear someone like J Park rap, or even Irene, like when she raps, or who are the other Korean rappers? There's a lot. And when I try to sing along or rap along, I wish I could, but like there's that language barrier na even if you have the romanized lyrics na, ang hirap pa rin i-pronounce. Like, you're like, no, 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 no. Like, I wish I could say it right, because I feel like I want to cover these so bad, but there's that one hindrance, or there's that one challenge. So, yeah, I could use that Talk to Me in Korean app, because I really want to learn some Korean words. Like, should I do these rap covers? Because like, oh, they're just so good. I wish I could learn, or I wish I could follow.
And if you need help, you could ask me as well. I could help you with your Korean.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Ikaw naman, Vannah, do you have any
I
okay.
have
All right. Let's hear them.
But Dave, you mentioned when you were like 18 years old, that was the time that you got obsessed with Korean culture,
Yep.
right? Yes.
That was part of it.
I guess my question is like, how did you exactly get into that culture?
Right.
I remember when we were like 13 or 12, I know the Korean industry parang nagpo-boom na siya that time kasi it was yung kay Jill's generation. Like, but for you, like during that time, like how did you exactly get into that yung Korean culture obsession? Was it because through K-pop that time? Or is it because of other stuff?
So yeah, like let me begin with that. So for instance, like, well, to start out first, so started out first with like my interest in Japanese pop culture. So I was also very interested in like anime, these tokusatsu series. Like, if you guys remember from your childhood, they would have shows like Kamen Rider or Masked Rider where they would transform and they would be in these suits, or there were even like other shows like Grand Caesars, Jesse Risers, Caesar X, or Nintendo. Like, it was something booming as well among kids. Like, kids were now very interested in Japanese superheroes, and eventually, like, because anime was showing a lot in, like, for instance, different channels, like a lot of kids started getting interested in like anime, and they even started getting interested in J-pop because they would hear how nice these anime songs are, and that was how that got them into it. Like how, and then eventually for me, mine was different because I eventually started exploring Korean culture through Boa, and I found out that there were like these other Korean artists. They made it big in Japan, and I started discovering more of them. And I found out, wow, similar aesthetics in pop media when you compare like Japanese and Korean media. That's why this one scholar, I forgot which scholar this was, but this scholar said that there's a term called Corpanese because a lot of these aesthetics get borrowed and combined, and even you can see a lot of these Asian countries copying these aesthetics. Like you see how these countries were able to export their soft power well. So eventually, like mga Pinoy, like we also try these styles while making them original. So we can see like P-pop stars. Like, for example, the ones that you see nowadays, like SB19, Beanie, and all of that, they're adopting like Korean styles, but still maintaining a unique Pinoy flavor.
Right.
So yes, I think you get attracted because a country is able to export a lot of their media to like different countries. That's how it booms.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you can see this similar phenomenon as well. Like way before, like if you go even back to the time when we were like probably 6 or something, that was when Meet Your Garden was out. Like that was considered Taiwanese craze. Like people were crazy about Taiwanese pop culture. They were watching like Hanakimi. They were interested in like all these other Taiwanese pop bands. So that was way before K-pop started, and a lot of people were now interested in learning Mandarin because of the popularity of that. And while the Taiwanese pop craze kind of died down, we can still see like recurring dramas that are still being shown on Philippines channels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I guess we can even see, like, for instance, with mainland China producing similar dramas. Like, for instance, I've seen people watch, for instance, A Love So Beautiful. Have you guys seen that drama or not yet?
What drama?
Not yet.
A Love So Beautiful.
Not yet.
So, yes, it became something so popular in the Philippines and different Asian countries as well, that a lot of people singing the I'm not good at singing, but it's basically a song about I like the way you do this, I like your eyes, and it's this very romantic song in Mandarin. And a lot of people started like, man, I want to learn Mandarin. Even my friend, she got super into like these Chinese dramas that I'm going to take Mandarin classes. I'm going to enroll in these Mandarin classes.
Wow, that's pretty interesting stuff right there.
Yep.
So, wow, that's really a lot of knowledge. You can really tell Dave, like, he's such a master of his craft when it comes to learning different cultures.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, because we were talking about this off air and days leading up to this episode. So I really love how Dave is not just focused on, the mainstream K-pop, K-drama, anime. Those are great, but like the fact that the knowledge Dave has with like other Asian countries, like yeah, the Asian takeovers for real, guys. Like watch out, world. Like us Asians are thriving. You just don't know it. So
I also
yeah, go on. Sorry.
I also like how Dave was able to connect you, of course, to music, to food, to other, and then to other aspects of culture. So like, it's so nice and parang holistic yung explanation niya like Asian culture in general. Kasi we were talking about Korean culture and he was able to connect it to Japanese culture like anime and manga. Yeah, like, oh yeah, no? So like, that made you appreciate how interconnected our cultures here in Asia. Like, are under one continent, and yeah, it's so nice. You got to appreciate more about Asian culture. So cool.
For sure. But I do want to ask you this though, Dave. Before we head to Vannah's like universe as a swiftie, but no, because Dave messaged me how he wants to highlight all these cultures, right? So Taiwanese, Korean, China, Japanese. So it's obviously strong here in Asia, right? And that's great. But what do you think needs to be done for these Asian cultures to take over the world? Because you said something about soft power through entertainment, and it's slowly starting. Like, last week, Shang-Chi, right? Marvel, of all companies, right? They were able to have a movie with an Asian cast, Asian songs. Yeah, I love that album. Nicki, Richard Bryan.
Yeah. Oh my God, Summer.
Yeah, I love every song in that album. BB also. So, Dave, my question is, when will there be a time na Asian influence in America is not just about BTS and Blackpink? Like, when do you think will these other Asian cultures start making their way to the Western shores? Because I really wanted to, I want it to be just more than BTS, more than Pinoy Pride, more than Blackpink, more than a Marvel Asian movie. Like, I know it can be so much more than that. So what's the game plan for us?
More than, those popular anime series that you see in the US. So I guess it's more of like how you're able to market yourself as a country. So for instance, we see another player here. So who would expect that we would now be seeing this craze for Thailand now? Like, it's happening in the Philippines even. Like, for instance, we see Bright Wind, like the stars of this Thai series, and they're performing in ASAP in the Philippines. And we see, like, for instance, Girl from Nowhere is becoming trending and popular in Netflix and all of these big series. So I feel like my big takeaway is that, since Vannah said that we're all interconnected as these Asian cultures, let's not be afraid to like borrow from one another and to like, don't be afraid to get an influence from another thing. Like, you can turn it into something unique, and you can market it as something inspired from that country, but as your own. But yeah, it's going to still make an impact, and people will still see it as something from that country. Like, Thai pop culture may have been inspired by Korean and Japanese culture, but like the pop culture in general, like the aesthetics and all. But we now, if we watch and consume these, we can still see that there's that original Thainess in them. And same with like the Philippines, we have this potential to explore ourselves really well. And if you guys did not know, like, Philippine pop culture is extremely popular in a lot of African countries. Like, I've met up with some people from, like, for instance, Zimbabwe and all of these, and they've told me, wow, like, my sister and my mother and my other relatives, they watch Philippine dramas almost every day. Like, they're like super interested in the Philippines, and who would have guessed, like, a continent far away would be so, like, we would have this big craze, and we would have people who'd be super interested in, like, our dramas, our culture. So, but the sad thing is that a lot of Filipinos aren't familiar with that, and we're not using that to our advantage. Like,
Right.
our ability to, for instance, create tourism campaigns in that continent, or to, grow the popularity of the fandom. Like, for instance, we could have some kapamilya or kapatid stars go on African tours and promote that really well. So I think we can see that big potential. Like, if we invest more in that, we can take over the world.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah, I agree totally.
So, I know you have a lot of familiarity with all of these cultures, but I'm sorry to put you on the spot, man. But if you were to choose one, not that would you would not really stand, but like really pay close attention to, what would it be? Because like, and alam ko, ikaw, you really pay equal attention to all. Like, alam ko wala kang favoritism with, K culture, Jap culture. And that's really good, I love how you're really appreciating other cultures, like just making it more diverse and stuff. But if you were to have a preference, what would it be? Because I'm sure you know my answer, right? Like, I like all these cultures, but I just fell into the rabbit hole of K-pop and just K culture. But I'm sure for someone like you, like, mahirap na tanong yun kasi you really stan all these other cultures,
So in terms of, like, pop culture, I like all of these and stuff like that, but I would say that the OG would be Japanese pop culture, because if you think about it, like, before all these other pop cultures came to be, like, most of the things we were consuming were Japanese, like in the 70s and the 80s, like, and then that eventually pulled over to, like, a lot of Asian countries. Like, for instance, if it weren't for, like, the manga Boys Over Flowers or Hana Yoridango, we wouldn't be seeing all these adaptations of Meteor Garden, Boys Over Flowers all over Asia, or same with, like, the musical styles they created in there. So yeah, even if I love all of these equally, I'd say, like, the OG would be Japanese pop culture.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. I mean, even me, like, when I was still young, I would always watch a lot of anime back in the day. So yeah, you can't go wrong with Jap culture. But sorry guys, like, I just fell into the K Hallyu wave, and I don't think there's no turning back anytime soon. So yeah, how about you, Vannah? Like, before we go on with your part of the EP, like, alam ko you're obsessed with Taylor Swift, and we'll get to that in a bit, but if you were to choose one particular Asian culture, what would it be?
I think I would choose Japanese. Primarily because of the food.
Right, yeah. Couldn't
Yeah,
Masarap talaga yung Japanese food.
Yes.
Food of Korea. I don't know, I think I'm a food person kasi, but when it comes to music naman, it's K-pop.
Yeah,
But yeah,
good
I
choice.
think overall, I want to say, like, the culture itself, like, I love anime too. And, like, there's a time that I watch some anime, and then, but I don't know, like, I think, yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it, pero it's Japanese pop culture.
Right.
But primarily because of Japanese food, I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I love Japanese food myself, whether it's ramen or katsu or teriyaki. Yeah. Ibang,
I might
ibang level talaga.
I'm going to Japan. I'm
Japan
just
more
working.
than Korea. Parang mas sweet destination ko yung Japan.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe if I was a K-pop stan, baka Korea pipiliin ko. Pero, yeah.
All right, that sounds pretty fair. So now that we got the Asian aspect of this EP out of the way, let's switch shores now. Let's go to the west side, and this is where Vannah's part will come in. So now it's her turn to hog the airtime. So we already know that you're a diehard Swiftie. And before we start, since I asked Dave what was his favorite Boa's song from her entire discography, ikaw naman, what's your favorite album from Taylor Swift's discography? I don't know what her first ever song was, but from, I don't know, Love Story to like anything from Folklore.
My favorite album is right now. It changes similar to this. It's Folklore right now.
Folklore.
Yeah, but yung how the songs were crafted, and parang there's a story to say in the album na parang love story of three, like, love affair, etc. Like, I love how parang cohesive siya yung album. Like, you're reading a book.
Yeah.
Pero like, and ako, I could say that I love book. I love literature. That's why I Folklore is so, like, I love. It's my favorite. And also, it's the most, like, yung kakaiba sa lahat.
Right.
Kasi it's very sorted. She dropped the album, like, in the middle of a pandemic. So, like, everyone was so surprised.
Yeah. The productive queen.
Yes.
Yep. I guess ako naman, like, I'm not really a Swiftie, but I actually like her Red era. Like, the Red era, or R's. I'm sure you know R's, right? I love R's. Ano pa ba? I'm not really a Swiftie, but like, anything from like 2011 to 2013. Basically everything before Shake It Off. As soon as Shake It Off came, I'm like, I don't like this Taylor Swift anymore.
Yeah, I understand. Just like, I mean, for me, I just Taylor Swift is not just a musician. She's an icon, pop culture icon. And she's like the face of America. And parang, yeah, if ang dami niya kasing drama. I think one of the things that's why she's popular kasi she had a lot of drama.
Lot of
Like,
exes.
she was involved in a lot of, with different celebrities, and then when there's an issue towards her, especially Japan, yung dating life niya, she would like make a song about it, and then parang part of the media, which is actually I enjoyed. Yung funny side to Taylor Swift. That's why I just kaya siya super popular. Kasi, she ignites the fire. Nung, alam mo, may crazy niya. Tapos parang, she would make a song about it. Tapos parang she will, like, if like, during, she's petty, in short.
Yeah.
Be annoying. I mean, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, pero like, there's one thing I hate about her. It's because she's petty and she's annoying. It's like,
ganun talaga. Like, we shouldn't be treating our favorite artists and actors as gods. So it's good to like criticize. Like, I same here. I like Taylor Swift and I like her songs and stuff, but I feel like that I agree on you with that.
Yeah. There was one time, I think during the 1989 era, yung Shake It Off, yung highlight ng career niya. Gosh, Like, I'm a Taylor Swift fan that time. Like, super, I'm somehow ashamed. Kasi like, she's so annoying that time. Kasi she wrote a song about her haters, yung Shake It Off. And then about her love life. That she's she dates a lot. And then she made a song about it. And then, it was just funny, but at the same time, parang, it would be annoying kasi parang you're trying to... Basta annoying. And then there was this time, you know, she's very famous about writing songs about her exes. So like that time, she wrote the song about... I don't know if you know the song Style. About diehard.
I do. Oh.
Nung lumabas at yung music video, and then my word Style. And diba, before that, she dated Harry Styles. And super, yun ata yung highlight nung news sa Western media. Kasi One Direction during that time was popular then. And then Sharon, tapos they dated. Parang, tapos yun na, may song siya na Style. Just like, I remember like, nung lumabas yung kanta na yun, I was like, oh my God, Taylor Swift, why did you like? Tapos sabi niya pala, oh, it's not about but she's trying to not mention the name of the person who inspired the song. Pero like,
it's
super obvious. It's super obvious that you would write a song na inspired by your ex-boyfriend. Yeah, so like, I mean, yeah, I just one of the things that I hated. I mean, not really super hate, but like, it's so petty sometimes. Tapos magpaparidate pa siya sa media na, oh, thank you so much for this award. It was inspired by oh my God. So, yeah, that's her. Yeah.
That's actually interesting because this will segue to my next question. So, good thing for you and maybe a few Swifties, hindi kayo yung super obsessive, like you're objective, you know, like you're gonna call out your girl like when she does something sus. So, are there any toxic T-Swift stans? Because you know how in K-pop we have toxic K-nets. I won't mention who because baka stan Twitter's gonna come for me, but I'm sure it's the same then with Taylor Swift. I'm sure she has her own set of toxic stans. So I don't know, how do I like try to stay away from them, or what do you do like if you encounter like these toxic stans online?
I noticed, of course, since Taylor Swift dates a lot, and then I think yung culture of Swiftie is very feminine, and I think 90 or 80% of us we hate bad boys. Boys with red flags. So like, one of the things that the pansin ko, the somehow toxic, is like, yeah, I know that like some of the ex-boyfriends ni Taylor Swift had red flags. Pero it gets irritating then when some fans try to
defend her.
Bring up defend her and bring up the past so much. Like the love, if it was already past. Like for example, there's this John Mayer, very known as someone who dated Taylor Swift, pero ang issue sa kanila is malaki yung age gap. She was years old that time. She dated John Mayer, that 22. So like, of course, it's a major red flag for the guy kasi he's more mature. And Taylor Swift that time was 19, barely legal. So, and they only dated less than a year. So parang 3 months nga lang ata or 4. And Taylor Swift's parang medyo attached siya as a person. So, fragile. So, like, even though she dated him like, for a few months, she was so, talagang nasaktan.
Heartbroken.
And then, so some Taylor Swift stans were like, they put much blame on the guy.
Oh.
Because of the songs that she wrote. Kasi nga, when she writes songs, di ba, she would like, pin all the red flags and then etc. But like some fans that are like, parang okay, it's a culture ng Taylor Swift like, fans, etc. But like, sometimes it gets too irritating then. Na parang, although it's fun, like, kasi there are like, relationships ni Taylor na parang fun to make fun of, like, for example, Joe Jonas and her. Kasi they're like good friends na and parang it's okay to make fun. But like some, I don't know, like, I think there are instances talaga na it gets toxic sa ibang ex-boyfriend niya. So like, yun yung napansin ko. So, like, for example, John Mayer took a live TikTok. And then, some Taylor Swift fans were, commenting on the live na parang, you're so toxic, you dated blah, blah, blah. Parang, I know he did something bad in the past, but like, sometimes it gets too irritating lang when they do, parang nag-post lang ng story, and then some Taylor Swift fans, like, so yun napansin ko, that's one. And then, well, it's good that they notice red flags in relationships, pero that's, sometimes people take the victim card too seriously.
Oh.
So yun. Yeah, I think these fans kasi, I think they're immature. I would understand na medyo mas bata sila sa akin. So, just why to do thinking nila. So yun, and then some fans are too obsessive over her. Na parang kapag, let's say, si Taylor Swift siya, kasi she could be petty, annoying. Parang they would still defend her even though she did something. Di naman kaya-aya.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's very common naman sa ibang fandom, di ba na?
Yeah.
Like, eating obsessed sila over there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yun.
So they're like the Western version of toxic K-nets.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Actually, this next question is like towards the both of you now, because like I just want to talk about stan culture in general, because like me naman, right? I'm a huge Uena or like an IU stan, and then like I'm a huge Revelove, huge Revelove over here, and then of course see Dave, he has his groups, and then ikaw, Vannah, you're a swiftie. So when does it come to a point na masyado ng overboard yung mga stans, like I don't know, I know I'm like the biggest Joy simp, and when the news came out she was dating someone else, like I was in Spain minus the S, but I had to accept it. But I don't know, for like some of your experiences, like how do you deal with, or how do you avoid that stage now? Okay, I'm gonna be a toxic stan because I really, really, really love these artists so much. So how do you like control yourselves, against that rabbit hole of becoming a toxic stan, whether it's a toxic K-net or a toxic anime stan, or in Vannah's case, a toxic swiftie?
Right. I believe that you should know your limits and understand that your favorite idols, your favorite artists and actors, they have their boundaries. You should respect their privacy. You should respect that. Do not be a Sasaeng fan. If you guys don't know, fans are these people who are super
Korean
duper
stalkers.
obsessed that
Korean stalkers.
they stop and they don't respect the artist's privacy and all that. You should know that that person would be a toxic fan if they don't care about other people's feelings as well. Like they're willing to like hurt other people just because they have a different opinion about this artist or something like that. And we are not living in a totalitarian state where we're supposed to adhere to only one opinion about this artist or actor. So we should respect the diversity of opinions. Like this artist will have haters and fans, but please don't start wars. Wars can end up badly. So that's my take on stan culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me naman, I agree with what Dave said na respect the boundaries or yung privacy of the person. No, dictatorship. No, I don't. Pero like, for me, what I do is, nasa set stage na I treat Taylor Swift as a friend. Even though she's not really it's like, I know, like, she's not like someone that I want to be in the future. But she's someone I want to be friends with. Actually, a new quote na yun is inspired by one of her friends. Like, you should not, parang, if you like someone, sometimes, diba, like, you want it, yung parang walang connection between you and artist. But if you treat that, for example, person, like, as a friend, and you want to have that kind of connection, so, ganun, parang doon mo ma-respect yung boundaries. Just like, when you treat your idol as, like, an idol, parang, there are parang gray areas or like danger areas. Kasi parang you're looking at the person as somehow so far.
Yeah.
But if you think that I want to be like her, but I also want to be like friends with that person. Like you have to think, what if I met this person and then parang like,
sorry guys, we're having some technical difficulties. What's new? But yeah, basically, what Vannah is saying is don't treat them like gods, yeah? And
beings.
yes. Me personally, I was low-key guilty because your resident Joy simp thought that one time we could be Mr. and Mrs. JDR, because like we had the same first letter, like it just has a nice ring to it, Joy Delro, but it looks like my chances of that ever happening got crushed by someone. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean. But yeah, guys, like, know thy boundaries. They're not your gods. They're human beings. We have the same flesh. They may be a lot more popular than we are, but that shouldn't change how we should act towards them. So hopefully, when you guys saw my 3-minute session with Joy, or 3-minute chat with Joy, hopefully I wasn't guilty of any of these things that Vannah and Dave were mentioning. But yeah, it was cringe, but hopefully y'all enjoy that. Anyways, Vannah, welcome back.
yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, I like what you said though about the whole treat these people as your friends. That's really apt. Because I was sharing them about my experience with Joy, and I don't know, what do you guys think? Was I too simpy or was I it? I'm not sure if you guys saw it. But...
I think it's normal naman. Yeah, it's normal, especially it's your first, diba?
Yeah.
Like, kasi parang, I think any fan will also be like that.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. Those are very interesting talking points, and I really enjoyed like everything you guys said. I really thought we'd go a lot longer, but like the way you guys said your points and really like not really summarized, but just mentioned everything. Like, it's pretty good stuff. But Van, I do have a powerful question since we're still on the Taylor Swift topic. So, do you think, or when do you think, rather, is she going to have a collab with a K-pop star, and who? Who do you think is it gonna
I think feel ko none so far, realistically
None?
speaking. Yeah, kasi her team kasi is medyo focus sa China.
be? Oh,
Like, ang dami ng promotion sa China. So, like, I don't know why.
interesting.
Pero, that's also my problem with Taylor Swift. She's not that, malapit sa Asia. Yeah, like, kapag may concert siya, it's just Japan, China. Yun lang. But then, nakalimutan na yung Southeast Asia, yung Indonesia.
That's
So,
sad.
yeah, pero realistically speaking, yung collaborator siya kasi medyo Western. Western pa. Yeah.
But if you were to make a guess, though, because BTS is big, Blackpink is big, who do you think?
I think, BTS.
Yeah, true. BTS sa akin din. Like
all
if you
seven?
guys,
All seven of them?
my picture siya with all seven of them. Like, she
Yeah.
was there in like yung music awards, and then I was like, wow, si Taylor Swift and si BTS.
Saka, I think BTS is also a fan of Taylor Swift. I know Jin is a fan. At the same time, they're too big, kasi, sila yung highest sales sa album, ang BTS siya si Taylor Swift. So, parang nagkakaroon. At the same time, napansin ko, my sister kasi is an army.
Oh.
So, napansin ko halos same si BTS at si Taylor Swift but sulat. BTS is so good with, lyrical songs with so much symbolism.
Yeah.
And lyrical, creativity. So, feel ko ba't mamatch sila with that. And yung start kasi ni Taylor Swift is songwriting eh. And ganun din yung start ng BTS, songwriting. So, it's something, it's a potential collaboration.
Nice. Interesting. Well, for me, like, as your resident Revelove, I want to see her with Wendy, because, like, she actually covered one of her songs when she was still a trainee at SM. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but she covered Speak Now, like Wendy. She covered Speak Now. I'll show you guys the vid, like, after this episode. But yeah, hopefully, Wendy and Taylor Swift, they can collab real soon.
Yeah, and Red Velvet has strong vocals.
Yes.
So they're like singers talaga.
Chef's kiss. The best vocals.
Yeah,
in
the best
K-pop.
vocals.
Yeah. That's so right. But yeah, since you mentioned, West to West collab, I really want to see her with Ari. Like, I want to see an Ariana Grande Taylor Swift collab in the near future.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, because I love Ari so much. Like, she's my favorite current Western artist.
I love her too. Like, super. Oh my god, she's kasi like her songs are super catchy.
Yeah. Wala lang. I just wanted to share na I still love some Western artists, even though I've like shifted regions. And yeah, I love Ari. Like, wala akong masabi. So, that about does it for our EP. So, Dave, Vannah, despite that major glitch that we just suffered, I want to thank you both for hopping on our show, or my show. But I do have one last parting question though. So, I know we have all these cultures, no? We have all these things that we love and stand, but how do we still try to maintain, our Filipino values, Filipino roots? How do we still support local, even though there's so much globalism happening. How do we do that? How do we do that without the toxic Pinoy pride label?
Dave, go.
I think we can support representations of our culture and stuff like that in different places. Like, for instance, I was happy to see, like, if you guys know, there's this reboot of High School Musical. They've made it into a TV series in Disney Plus, and they've got these new stars, and Olivia Rodrigo is one of them.
Yeah.
One thing I was happy about was that they were showing Filipino culture in the TV series. Like, they're the new batch of High School Musical people, and they're showing her with her lola and stuff about the Philippines. So yes, we can show more representation of ourselves in the global media as well, and we can support artists that try to make it big. Like, for instance, Morissette is trying to break into the American media, and same with like other Filipinos. We can support them, and as I've mentioned before, we can adapt something from another culture, but we can still make it our own.
Right. Yeah, so true.
Yeah, yung nagustuhan ko sa sinabi ni Dave, yung adapting from a culture borrowing, and then can still make it like a Filipino culture. And there's nothing wrong with that naman. Kasi, yeah, especially if it's from an Asian culture then. Kasi we're interconnected naman. So, yeah. And regarding sa question mo, yeah, I guess first is not to be too obsessed with a certain thing or a certain person or a certain culture. I think that's the first one. And the second is, yeah, you can get inspiration from your idols on the work that you do. Not necessarily in just music. Like, for example, Taylor Swift. I'm not musically talented, but I can get inspiration from her in other stuff naman. And then I can make it something na, on my own, or like Filipino identity. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you guys go. So, those are some very great answers. And ako naman, like all these cultures, yes, but don't forget where you guys came from, And no, I'm not talking about toxic. I'm not talking about toxic, Pinoy pride. Para sa bayan, ek. Like, that's great and all, but it can't just be sa salita lang. Like, we really have to practice it in action. Like, let's not just be proud Pinoys when the going is good. Like, when our kababayans need help, tulungan natin sila. Like, that's the best way we can express our pagka-Pinoy, and we can do that by like sharing other cultures. Like, a lot of us like K-pop, so while we're helping in the donation drives and stuff like that, like yung mga community pantries earlier this year, may iba na puro EXO photo cards, or of course BTS. So we can definitely do that. We can infuse other cultures while still appreciating our own, whether it be values and practices. That's more than enough na to proudly express our pagka-Pinoy.
If I may add pala,
sure.
I guess it's always important to hold on to your political beliefs, principles, socially conscious. Kasi if your principles and political principles and social consciousness is very, very strong. Parang kahit yung appreciation mo for a certain idol, dapat mas malamang pa rin yung political and social consciousness mo over your obsession or like appreciation for an artist. Kasi of course, diba, like, we don't have the same political deal. I don't have the same political ideology as Taylor Swift. Medyo liberal siya eh. Mas more siya sa left. Kasi I think although, of course, she's also vocal din sa iba. So, I think it's really important to be socially and politically aware din. Talaga.
Yes, that's true.
Ay, sorry, may correction pala ako. Hindi pala siya left, si Taylor Swift. I think mali yung nasabi ko.
That's
Hindi siya left. She's center. Medyo center yung ano niya. Maybe center left. Baka, yeah. But not left. Yeah, center left. Parang gano'n.
Oh, I see.
My guess. My guess. Yeah.
All right. That sounds nice. So, that about does it for this very special episode. The episode right after I interviewed Joy. And guys, I'm still high, but hopefully I was able to not sound cringe anymore as compared to the past few weeks. But before I do go, as usual, Dave, Vannah, now's your chance. Please send me in your plugs and stuff. Now's your chance to promote yourselves or your favorite artists. So now's your chance.
All right. So follow me at GoDave96 on Instagram and Twitter and other platforms. And yes, you can stan all these different fandoms. Just don't be a toxic fan. That's all for me.
That's right.
I have nothing to promote, but just be politically and socially aware, and then we should be advocates of social justice. Yeah, that's what I want to promote. That's uplift social justice.
Yes, that's true. In short, stay woke, guys.
Yeah.
Yup. Pero hindi yung toxic woke ha, like yung tama lang. Yeah, I'm talking to y'all Twitter wokens. Sana di ako makancel, but no, it's okay. To each his own, I guess. But yeah, I get scared. But anyways, those are Dave and Vannah's final words and final plugs. So if you want to follow me, here's where you all gotta go. So for Instagram, for the pod page, it is at joat.pod.delro. So it is at joat.pod.delro. For the personal naman, it is at Jake_Delro. On Facebook, it is facebook.com/joat.pod.delro. Or if you just want to search it on the search tab, it is Jake of all trades with Delro. This podcast can be streamed, televised, viewed, and listened to on the following platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, Breaker, YouTube, and on Facebook. And guys, a special public service announcement before we go. But our podcast has officially reached above 500 plays. So, palakpakan naman tayo dyan sa ating lahat. Because I want to thank all of y'all for making this happen. So, all of a sudden, I was checking my phone and like, damn, I'm already at 500 plus. So, I want to thank everybody who helped me reach this point. Guys, road to 1,000. Let's make it happen. So, hopefully, by the end of 2021, we can reach 1,000 plays. Let's make it happen. Dave, Vannah, help me out. Do share this to your mutuals once I upload it. Yeah, public request, no? But yeah. Guys, keep streaming, keep supporting. Let's make 1K happen. So, any last words? I know I've said it a lot, but any last words, Dave and Vannah, before we officially wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you, Jay and Dave, for this very insightful discussion. So much, especially about Asian culture. Like I got to appreciate more thanks to the wonderful discussion led by Dave.
Yeah.
So also for inviting me. I hope I made insightful.
Of course.
No.
Of course.
Yun lang.
Alright.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, just a thank you for everyone here, and yep, just that.
Mhm. As for me, Joy, baka naman you might wanna give it one more shot with me. I don't know. No. Don't wanna be that toxic stan, but you know, maybe in the next life, Joy and I could be a thing. Yeah, wag tularan, guys. Don't be like this obsessive simp over here. But yeah, with that out of the way, that's a wrap, y'all. Thank you for tuning in today, mga Delbros, sisters, Swifties. What do you call anime stans? Do they have a fandom?
We approve. Joke lang, pero anime stans lang.
Okay, so Delbros, sisters, Swifties, anime stans. Army, Blinks, One says, Uranus, and Rev Loves. Yeah, Rev Loves. This has been your one and only. Yeah. This has been your one and only JOAT. Let me make sure I'm pointing at the right screens. So she is Vannah, he is Dave. This is Joy's signature, which I will cherish and keep and frame for the rest of my life. Those are all of us right there, and we are all signing out. Hanggang sa susunod na usapan na chikahan. See ya. Sarangheo. Annyeong. Bye. How do you say bye in Japanese?
Matane.
Yes.
Matane.
How does Taylor Swift say
Matane.
bye?
Hi guys.
There we go. So
It's
this.
okay. Yeah.
Sige. But yeah, bye for real now. Take care.